Hi everyone, this is week 4 of Matthew's Movie Mentions. This is take 2 of the episode because I've actually turned the microphone on now and it seems to be recording, so that's good. And I'm glad I checked only a little bit into the first take because that could have been embarrassing and annoying and you might not have got an episode at that point. I said that I wanted to watch an ordinary amount of films this week. I think I achieved that. I think I've watched 6 films. So I'm up to 29 for the month, and it is now the 28th. So I'm slightly ahead of myself, which is exactly where I want to be, and hopefully settling into a routine. It's been not quite one a day. There's been a couple of days where I've watched a couple just in the background. I thought it might be worth covering my film library mechanisms, how I actually get films and watch films. I wanted to be able to refer back to it in future if I needed, and link to it and build on it and so on. I've got 4 primary sources, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Sky Cinema, and my DVD collection. So those are the ones that I would consider instant access. If I know I have something I want to watch, or someone recommends something I want to look it up, I will pretty much on a PC or my mobile go through each of those different sites. No, assuming I don't own it, because the collection's not a site. If I own it, then I know I own it, and I've probably seen it already. But if it's something else I wanted to watch, I'll jump on Netflix, Amazon, Sky, as I say, through mobile or PC, and look it up and see if it's there. Very occasionally the film's on like a regular TV channel, but that's not a common thing. If a film's not available on any of those, then I go to secondary sources, which is pretty much charity shops, a second-hand UK shop called CEX, which I think used to be Cash Exchange or something, but it's now just called CEX, and digital rental. The village I live in has a number of charity shops, so every so often I have to go up one side of the high street looking at all the shops, come back down the other side looking at all the other shops to try and find something or keep an eye out for a film I might need. Most recently I've done that with Pacific Rim, but previously Nightmare on Elm Street I found, and It I found, so it can be quite useful sometimes. Probably half the time I'm usually able to find the film I'm looking for. CEX, as I say, it's a second-hand trade-in shop, so it's very useful, particularly for older films. They usually have quite a good array, so you can go and find what you're looking for. And for digital rental, it's usually Amazon Video or Google Play. Those are the 2 that I've had to use so far. Every so often I actually go to the cinema. That's probably the other place I might see a film. Sometimes I do actually go out of the house and watch things. Then the town near to me has an Odeon cinema, which is actually a really nice one. They used to be not great cinemas, but this one's actually really nice. There's an independent cinema in the town a bit further than that, but where my parents live, so sometimes I go out with them or go and see that. And then the next town from that has a large 15-screen Cineworld multiplex, so I can generally get to see anything. When I lived in London, I went to Picturehouse cinemas, usually in Clapham or the Ritzy in Brixton. And for special events, I go to the Electric Cinema in Portobello Road, which is just an amazing cinema. Every seat is an armchair, you get a footstool and a blanket, you've got tables, they have a bar at the back where you can get coffees or drink. The films I watched this week, I saw Secret Origin, the story of DC Comics. This is a documentary that came free with the Batman Assault on Arkham DVD. It was okay. It was narrated by Ryan Reynolds, which means to me I think it was made at the time they released Green Lantern, because it was really strange having him narrating something about DC, because he's now so in the Marvel camp. The insight into the guys who made DC and the original heroes, that was really interesting, really good. It's not the common background that you read, so that was interesting. It then started going into some of the histories of the characters that was pretty light, pretty top level stuff, so generally knew it all. And then when it got into more modern times, it felt very rushed, but there's a lot of content to cover, so I almost would have preferred just focusing on the period from maybe the 30s through the 70s, the sort of lesser known period. It was good, it just, possibly a little aimless. I watched The Nice Guys, which is a recent neo-noir movie with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe. I do enjoy a good noir film. There were times when this film did that style, and it did it very well. The 2 characters were actually really well done. They were both very different characters, so it worked well as a sort of odd couple thing, but they were a good complement for each other. Portrayed very well, but there were also times the film was trying to be a bit of a comedy, which I don't think it quite came off. It was often trying to do it's funny because someone's reacting in a way different than you'd expect, or the situation has a juxtaposition that's unusual, but that didn't land. I would probably watch another of these. I think the world they've created was quite interesting, so it was good fun. It was something good to have in the background. That's the sort of film that fits in. I watched The Circle on Netflix, which was recommended because of a previously film. I think it did because you've watched Spotlight, you might like The Circle. And then seeing the cast for the film made me want to watch it. If anyone else is tempted in the same way I am, I think they should trust their instinct of, hey, how come I've not heard of this film that has Tom Hanks and Emma Watson and Patton Oswalt and John Boyega and a number of other famous people in it? Bill Paxton was in it as well. It was a great cast, but it wanted to do a sort of Black Mirror, slightly, not necessarily dystopian, but a dark possible future for what might happen with social media and these companies getting as big as a government. It looked at the potential of that, but it never really delivered. It just sort of hinted at, oh, this would be a bad thing, wouldn't it? Without doing it, which I feel, sometimes you have to actually do the thing you're threatening to do, but it just hinted, and it wasn't quite as good as it could have been. I watched The Incredibles, which we're doing on Pop Culturally Deprived. That is a wonderful film. It's one of the best superhero films ever, and it's a slight spoiler for the episode, but one of the reasons I think that is because it does it very differently than other superhero films. It doesn't do an origin story. It doesn't do just a traditional action type of film. This is very much stylistically, it's got more in common with a James Bond film than a superhero film. It just uses superhero trappings to do some of it. So it's superb. I love that film very much. I saw Get Out. So that was recently nominated for an Oscar, and I will admit I have actually owned that film for a few months now. Sky gave me a free purchase from the Sky store, so that was a film I was really eager to watch, so I clicked on it as soon as I got the offer. The DVD took ages to come to me, and then when it came, I think it came during December maybe, and I was just too busy and never made time for it, so I made time now. Really good film. It was really clever. The tension was there all the way through, as well as very confident performances from everyone. It was a very odd film, and the events in it were slightly odd. It had me sort of guessing what was going on all the way through, but yeah, really good. That was solid. And then yesterday we watched Constantine, the 2005 Keanu Reeves DC film. We watched it for Across the Arrowverse, so you can check out that podcast, which came out today. I loved the film when it comes out. I love the film now. It's a great film. It's really good. And I feel like not enough people have seen it, but I'm also worried that actually lots of people have seen it, and they all think it's crap, and it's just, for whatever reason, I quite like it, so who knows? Recommendation this week, it would be really easy to say The Incredibles, but I feel like everyone's seen that or knows what it is. I think it's got to be Get Out. I can understand why it's been nominated for a number of Oscars. It's a bit different than the norm. It's got a really interesting perspective. Yeah, great performances, great film, really well shot, really tense and a bit suspect all the way through. So I thoroughly enjoyed that, and I think you should all go and watch it. Next week, the only film I know I'm going to be watching is The Thomas Crown Affair, the 1999 version, so really looking forward to that. And I had a thought about possibly going through my DVDs again, so I might think on that a bit more and talk about that next week maybe. I've started a couple that, again, I'm hoping to get finished, so I will talk about them when I've actually finished them. So, have a good week, everyone. I will see you in week 5.